Alright, so today we're gonna try doing a reaction video on Swarru, and it's called Force Reincarnation. So we're gonna listen to what she has to say.
It is based on what my culture has come to take as the truth, and on my personal experience as I have detailed past life and in-between life memories, so what I believe is based on what I have experienced and learnt. The veil of forgetfulness also exists outside Earth. It is irresponsible to say it is only present there, yet, generalizing, it is less marked, and not as strong as it is there on your planet. Having said that, the veil of forgetfulness, which is when you cannot remember who you were in your past life or lives, does not depend so much on where you are, or what species or race you belong to. It rather depends more on who you are, on your core belief systems, especially those that ruled and determined on what conditions and with which parameters you will experience your next incarnation. This is also taken as between life, or pre-life agreements and settings. This means that as there are people on Earth who do not remember anything about their past lives, or what happens in between, some others do.
Yeah, people talk about the veil of forgetfulness and think. So people talk about veil of forgetting. So people talk about veil of forgetfulness and think that it has to be something special and limited to this world. But let's make it very simple. Just like Swaru saying, it is more depending on the individual. So I think almost everyone in this life have at some point experienced something that was so freaking good that they would love to forget the experience and do it all over again. And I mean, for most, it is as simple as watching a movie, a TV show, as playing a game, watching anime, reading a book, listening to a song, and they loved it so much that they would love to forget it, to re-experience it again. Like some people watch Lost, or Dark, or Matrix, and say that like, damn, that the first time they've ever got to see it, shivers going down their spine, goosebumps, all of the ideas and stories, and they would just love to redo it again because it's fun, it's entertaining. And if we go beyond the physical experiences of like the most basic examples, when it comes to us and looking at a certain aspect, most of us will create that wheel of forgetfulness because imagine you are in another life, experiencing reality, experiencing a different story, and you have this ability to recall your past lives, simply allowing your consciousness to tune in into certain frequency, tune in into an information of the experiences you've already had, of what you already lived through, but making it in the present. And it's like all of those lives and experiences and information, when you are currently doing something, you don't necessarily need everything you've been through. Imagine most people wonder, well, who's my soul family? Who was I in my past life? What kind of starseed am I? And they assume that this is just one experience, that they've only had one family, that they've only had one specific thing, and that's it. But look from this perspective. Our soul families and our lives and our past stories, it's as much as imagine owning a car and just driving it for a bit. You might not own it, but you're driving a car and you get to experience like, well, you rent it, drive it, you get to see how comfortable is it, do you like it or not, how well does it drive, and you get out and someone offers you another car. Well, okay, let's go. Maybe it's one brand, like only Toyotas, but all models of Toyotas. Maybe it's all Subarus or the Audis or something, like whatever you prefer. And with all those brands you try out, you will find a car. One is like a brand, a model that fits more. So it's like people assume or identify as, well, I'm a Pleiadian. Well, I'm a Taygetan. I'm a Arcturian, a human, or something else. So that's choosing a brand. There will be a specific company brand that you prefer more. Like for some people, it's Xbox. For some people, it's PlayStation and Sony. For some people, it's, other brands. They will have preferences because, well, this is my family. These are taking care of my needs. These represent my values, yada, yada, yada. So now we have one model where a certain race, a certain group, a certain place will fit in with your current beliefs, with your current values, with your current understanding. And then we go deeper into, well, specifically from this brand, you will have one car that you prefer over all of them. And you might go into like a car that you've seen in the initial D, or maybe a Cybertruck or some Tesla car, or whatever you prefer. You will have that one car that you feel like, this is my baby. I'm gonna rock it, I'm gonna love it, but this is the one. And this is that soul family. From this massive group, from this massive experience you have, you will find something that you prefer more than others, and then something that you really identify as and make it your own. When you have that experience, you don't need to think about absolutely everything else you've ever tried, because this current experience is more fun, more present, and you don't need to carry all that information. You can access it at any time you choose to, but you don't need to make it like your thing that's gonna be in front of you at all times. Meaning, if you have a certain experience in the reality, whatever surrounding you, you will want to focus on a current story. Imagine, okay, you get out of this place. You got out of Earth, you got out of the duality, you're going into your own safe haven, and now this is the place where you want to relax. And in a place where you want to have your rehab, where you want to rejuvenate, that for some people it's the source, for some people it's that spaceship that Taygetas have, for some people it's their own reality. Everyone will have different preferences and different belief systems. So now once they go there and they want to be like, I'm gonna enjoy the Taygetan ship, I'm gonna talk to Swarru and, like, just really engage. Do you, when talking to Mary or someone else, want to have all of the other experiences in the background? Like, hi, Swarru, and now you're looking at your life on Earth, and now you're looking at your life where you're duking it out and fighting reptilians, and now you're looking at like 50 other lives simultaneously. Do you want to have a conversation and be there present, listening, seeing, talking to someone, or do you want to recall all the stuff, good, bad, the positive, and all the things that happened? Well, you don't necessarily need to have it like right now. No, I want to be present. If there's a drink, if I want to have some water, I want to drink water and not think about all the other possible drinks. Currently, I prefer this thing. So for some people, when they think about that whale of forgetfulness, it's not about only Earth and only, oh, we're gonna like block out and not remember our past lives and who we are and our origins and all the stuff. No. When you choose to have an experience, you want to have it in the present without all the other crap. The problem is when most people are having an experience and they encounter issues where they're not succeeding in life, and now they feel like they're victims, like they're being tortured, like things are not going their way, where they're getting helpless. And this is where they're starting to look for things like, why do not I remember stuff? Why do not I have the abilities? Why can't I? Why don't I? And all of a sudden, we look at, well, will of forgetfulness, not remembering past lives, not remembering origins. And all of a sudden, like, that becomes an issue. But when everything's going fine, you don't even give a damn. You just want to be currently enjoying the present moment. So that will of forgetfulness is always created by a person. It's more like a belief, a decision. Look, if I want to drive this car, I don't need to think about all the other cars I've had. This is the only experience I want to enjoy right now, at this moment. When I get out of this car, maybe in a few minutes or after a few hours or a few years, I might want to have a different experience. But until then, I don't want to be, playing this game like Elden Ring and think about all the other games like CSGO or Dota or something else. Like, no. Elden Ring is currently happening. I want this. When you're having sex with your loved one, this is like your husband or wife, you don't want to be thinking about all the other people unless you're really not enjoying the relationship. When you're really intimate, when you get to cuddle and hug someone, do you really think about someone else? Or are you currently present in that moment, in that warmth? Just really like, love it. When you're petting your dog or cat, are you thinking about all the other dogs and cats out there in the world? No, you're looking in the eyes of your loved little four-legged animal, and you're like, I love you, baby, like my little furball. This is the only thing that matters right now. So that will of forgetfulness, it's our decision, like with the reticular activating system, like focus on what matters to you currently, but whenever you feel like this is no longer a thing you want to focus at, then you can broaden the experience and use the information. For most people, once they make that decision and encounter issues in life, and they choose to forget stuff, whether it was good or bad, for some people, like, it's too much to confront hard stuff or to confront their darker side. They don't want to accept or acknowledge that, they have the intentions to kill someone or really get like kind of really rageful, berserk. They don't want to say like, you might look at a certain race or certain group and have hate for them. You're looking at the events happening in the world and you might have negative feelings toward the person. When you're out in the public, you might not feel like talking about it out loud. So people will suppress some of their sides. And same happens in life and with consciousness. When you have a certain experience and you're like, well, that's a bit too much, kind of hold it in. When we choose to hold in too much, and we have tons of decisions that kind of build up, and then that whale of forgetfulness and all of the limitations, then that gets in the way. And now we're looking for, how do I remember? How do I open up my abilities? How do I have more ways to deal with whatever life throws at me? Well, that's the thing we should look at.
This is also taken as between life, or pre-life agreements and settings. This means that as there are people on Earth who do not remember anything about their past lives, or what happens in between, some others do remember to various degrees. Although, indeed, the vast majority of people on Earth do not remember their past lives or much of them, and that is why it is said that the veil of forgetfulness is especially strong there. But as there are people on Earth who remember one or several of their past lives, there are also people in space who do not remember their past life or lives either. The mechanics of why most people do not remember their past lives, or the space in between them, is fairly simple. In my culture, it is understood to be the result of a simple existential realm frequency and vibration disparity, because if those do not match the average frequency and vibration of a realm, then it is much more difficult to bring in information from a much higher one. In other words, the knowledge, the memory of a soul, is of a high vibration, and it does not match the pasty, thick and dense vibration of Earth's average existential realm. The same thing happens with dreams, where it is hard to remember them because they are the memories of events that took place in a much lighter existential realm, and this is also why there is a marked tendency to remember nightmares, and not so much the average and nice ones, simply because bad dreams are of a lower vibration, obviously, therefore they may match the one of Earth easier. As I have mentioned before in another video, what goes on in the ethers, in the astral realms is extremely variable, so no one researcher, seer, shaman, guru, or whoever can ever tell you a concrete and absolute truth, except for the fact that there can never be one single truth, much less for a subject like this one. What they say, will be and can only be a mirror, a reflection of who they are inside, and that may not apply.
I'm just gonna add that while some of these experiences might be, dependent on the frequency, the vibration we tune into, and what we get to see and experience, quite a lot of quite often, people are affected by different groups, and our experiences are fake. There are dream constructs where we're put, and that there's supposed experience we get to see, we get to be in, but it's more like an overlay while something else is happening to you. There's like DSSP, there's the entities like astral spiders and octopuses, beings that land on your face during the night and kind of hijack your dreams, put you in different scapes and try to control you and try to manifest something through your consciousness, different things like that. A lot of times people get abducted, like more their consciousness taken, physical body falls asleep, consciousness is taken, put in the organic bodies and different experiences. So like a lot of those things will be covered up. There are variations, and it's not all just a dream and just you tuning into a different reality based on your vibration and frequency. A lot of it happens, so we should not just minimize it and think it's more like all you. A lot of people get suppressed, and it's not a will of forgetfulness. It's not just you not being in a certain like vibration and frequency. A lot of people are actually suppressed and targeted. And there's a lot of groups, a lot of entities, a lot of things happening in life. People attract things, of course. So it's a buildup, and it's never just one thing. It's never just a vibration. There's going to be a things, but then again, it depends with your belief system, what kind of stories you did in. Because like what I'm saying, again, I'm not a guru. I don't know it all, but there are a lot of variations. There's a lot of things I've seen where I talk to people and they are able to recall their past lives, or we're doing past life regressions, or they're able to tap into different experiences they've had besides being here on Earth, and they share their insights, their point of views, and it's just like a buildup of different stories. So when you hear thousands of them, you kind of get to make sense of like, well, okay, little puzzle pieces. I think it's like this, but is it really? again, depends what you tune into. If you're just going for what Swarru's saying, like whatever fits.
As I have mentioned before in another video, what goes on in the ethers, in the astral realms is extremely variable, so no one researcher, seer, shaman, guru, or whoever can ever tell you a concrete and absolute truth, except for the fact that there can never be one single truth, much less for a subject like this one. What they say, will be, and can only be a mirror, a reflection of who they are inside, and that may not apply to other people. This is why I always will insist that you should bother making the effort, and assuming the responsibility to develop your own set of belief systems, which should be based on the best information you have available and the one that suits your expansion best. But always make sure you do not rigidly attach yourself to one set of pet ideas, as you may need to replace them with better ones later in life. This means that you must be flexible with yourself, or else
Exactly. While you're here, you will hear tons of stories. You can watch videos, you can listen to podcasts, you can read books, and all it's gonna be is a story from another being. There are plenty of belief systems. As many people as out there, every single imagined thought and any single imagined reality, fantasy that you've had is manifested out there and it exists. So with all the possibilities out there, you just tune into what is available to you and what you're focusing on. And it's really important to just make it about yourself. Even everything we're saying, me, Swarru, anyone, always filter it out. Always use your own inner lie detector. Does it you're listening? The story sounds really good for some people, but there's something doesn't match. Well, you might take some of the things that go with your belief system that you agree with, but of course, disregard anything else that doesn't match, unless it actually shakes your belief system and you want to rebuild it.
But always make sure you do not rigidly attach yourself to one set of pet ideas, as you may need to replace them with better ones later in life. This means that you must be flexible with yourself, or else you may stagnate in your soul progression, but that is your decision to make. I have seen the same question or the same subject come up all the time. Is reincarnation forced? As I said in my previous video, it is not a question that should be answered in absolute terms of black or white, as it is a complicated subject that depends on the lens of who is observing it, and on the experience of each person who is talking about it as a subject. To be able to answer this, and give my opinion whether there is or there isn't any forced reincarnation, I must define what a soul is to me. What forms and shapes a soul, what creates it, are the ideas it holds. Those are the limits or the boundaries that define one soul from another, and as something in particular, therefore not something else. In this case, it is what defines a soul to be sentient, or someone, besides being Source itself as well. A soul is a group of pet ideas Source has come to become attached to. It is like a made-up character which was invented by Source's ideas, which include all the characteristics, and everything that defines a person, and differentiates it from another, being that up above, we are all one. In an unconventional way of defining this, let us say that the greater Source has a severe multiple personality disorder, and each one of us is one of those characters, and there are billions upon billions of us all over the universe. It looks like Source, in all its might, really needs to go see a shrink. Too bad, that shrink would also be another character of Source, so he or she would be biased in its favor, therefore not being able to help it much. No wonder why the universe is such a mess. Okay, so let us move on to the next point, which is necessary to answer the question of whether there is forced incarnation or not. Everything each soul experiences is only the reflection of who it is, and what it perceives as its external reality is only an interpretation of its own ideas, and the meanings it has associated and attached to them. This means that what is reality and truth for one person may not be so for another. And the more different the ideas, values, and interpretations one soul has from another, they will.
This just makes me think about people talking about spirit guides, talking about their lower self, higher self, and all of the other aspects. If it's all one, and again, it's all you, and just tons of different aspects, and what consciousness choose to create, and all of the different personalities, different identifications it's out there, people assume that well, for example, my spirit guide will really help me out, and I want to reach out to them. But you're looking at all of the other aspects you have, or all of the beings that are out there, tons of different personalities. If you're looking at spirit guide, then you have a person from a caveman saying oonga boonga. What kind of teachings are you expecting from that? Use fire and a stick? Allow a woman to go to the cave first to make sure there's no one there? Let's go. That's a good advice in today's world. So for some people, like, it really depends what they tune into. And you have to be very specific with what kind of information you want to get, because with all the crazies out there, with what you match when you're in this victimhood, when you're suffering, you're going to attract a lot of things that are not going to serve you. And it's like you have to get out of that story and a certain thing you're attached to right now, because people who have experienced suffering and gone through a lot of hardships will also connect to the aspects and entities and beings that are matching their vibration, and will keep on like co-creating the current reality. So it's really good to try to acknowledge that there is this kind of experience, but know that your consciousness has a way to detach from this and reconnect to another personality and identity. And think of like a Matrix movie, Neo downloading a skill. Once, he's doing martial arts and he doesn't know how to do combat and he's getting his ass kicked, and then he downloads a few abilities and now he knows Kung Fu. Well, you can do the same thing. Your consciousness, you can get that information, you can get that aspect, you can connect to your know-it-all self. You don't need a spirit guide, a higher self, an overself, because eventually it is you choosing what kind of experience you want to have. It is you who does not need anyone else, does not need any gurus or people or Pleiadians or Taygetans or anyone else to tell them what to do, unless you need to learn. But eventually it's all up to you. You have all the power within yourself. You just need to learn how to tap into it and to call it out and to use it.
Okay, so let us move on to the next point, which is necessary to answer the question of whether there is forced incarnation or not. Everything each soul experiences is only the reflection of who it is, and what it perceives as its external reality is only an interpretation of its own ideas, and the meanings it has associated and attached to them. This means that what is reality and truth for one person may not be so for another. And the more different the ideas, values, and interpretations one soul has from another, they will coincide less in what they call their objective experiential reality. In other words, souls, therefore people, incarnated or not, only similarly perceive reality because their points of view, ideas, and interpretations coincide with each other, thus creating an existential realm in the process, and the people who do not coincide with them will not perceive that collective reality. A billionaire and a pauper can see each other on a street, they can even talk and share ideas, yet the expanded reality of their lives and its meaning will be extremely different, yet they still hold some existential and vibrational points where they coincide, and there's where they touch, and why they can notice each other. When the ideas, therefore the vibration of a person, are completely different from one another, then they will no longer share the same existential realm, they wouldn't share the same reality. This is exactly what is happening with all those beings, creatures, and even advanced civilizations which are defined as interdimensional. It is also the very meaning of the word interdimensional, and this goes especially for everything that exists and happens in the astral realms, higher and lower ones all the same. I guess by now you know where I am going. Is there, or is there not, forced reincarnation? The simple and direct answer, without beating around the bushes. There is for some souls, some people, and not for others. It will all boil down to their belief systems, and to what they strongly believe is true, therefore, what they will manifest for themselves. When a soul passes on, it takes all its ideas and values, thoughts, fears, and all that defines its ego, its persona and self. When the physical body, biological meat suit dies, all that the person has left is who they are, and the ideas that shape it. Thoughts and ideas are things, and this means that they will manifest for themselves whatever they believe, including devils.
Again, there's going to be tons of different experiences, but it all depends on our perception. Because eventually, even all the forced reincarnations, as people would experience and recall, for some people, they will remember getting into a soul trap. For some people, they will remember being deceived, and like a lot of different incidents happening that they call forced incarnation. But how can a soul, how can a consciousness be caught? How can a consciousness be forced to do something? The only thing that can happen, in my opinion, which is subjective, is perception. Imagine you are wearing your VR glasses, and you, in this life, you're in your room, you're in your apartment, you're in your house, everything's safe, there's like floor and everything. It's all stable. You put on VR glasses, and the game, for some people, they might have seen it. You're standing on a skyscraper, and there's this board, and you're walking on a board, and you get to see everything super like down the street. You're hundreds of meters, hundreds of feet above, and it's like it looks scary. And for some people, because the perception, even though they know that their physical body is in the apartment and they're standing still on the ground and there is absolutely nothing where they can fall and hit and die, while they're wearing VR glasses, they will perceive reality differently. Even though they know they're standing on a floor and everything is safe, their eyes are showing, I'm on a skyscraper, I'm on this board, and I might fall. The perception creates this sense of fear for people who have like fear of height, and it will simulate the experience like, what if? And it kind of shocks the body, it sends the fear, and you already start having ideas. You're starting like producing and thinking, what if I fall? What if I die? Oh my God. And like you have various thoughts that are now creating the perception that you are standing on a like skyscraper, you are feeling scared because you just triggered the perception in your physical body chemicals do not know the difference between what is real and what's not. So the brain's sending you tons of chemicals, and now you are perceiving and feeling that stuff. With a consciousness is the same thing. You might not even be in the body, but if you perceive something, that creates a sensation or perception that like, well, you know one thing, but you start perceiving things differently. For a lot of people, they will feel like they're trapped. They will feel like sitting in one place and being unable to move or get out. It is just a perception. It's not happening for real. They get the sensation, they get the feeling, they believe into it. And once they start believing that this is part of their reality, that this is part of the experience, the perception allows us to get trapped because you believe that you can get trapped. So it's not someone else pushing you and doing something to you. It is like it's almost like simulating the experience where you believe that it is real. And once you change your mindset from I am limitless, I am God, I can do everything like everyone else, the consciousness is limitless, I know it all time, all space, great. And you go from there into I'm trapped, I'm limited, I can't move, what if? And all of these thoughts and ideas create belief system to, at some point, you have enough fear or enough limiting beliefs where you give in and you feel like you're trapped. And then anyone else, well, if you agree that you're trapped, that perception allows someone to make an impact on you. And so for a lot of people, it's not even being pushed inside Earth. It's just like they're having an experience in different dimensions, different realities. Like, again, it's all about frequency, what you tune into, past lives or no past lives. It's just current moment. It's all here, all in one plane. And it is all about how you're feeling, your vibration, your frequency, and what you choose to perceive and how real it is. For most people, dreams are just dreams. It's not another reality, but because it's not real enough. But a lot of people also have dreams where everything is so freaking real that they cannot tell the difference. And that's exactly the thing. Because it's not just, oh, like my brain is producing an imagery and I came back and like, yeah, Carl Jung stuff, amazing, woo. It's actually you tuning into a different reality, to a different vibration, and you make it so present that you are becoming, like, you're manifesting everything there, and your perception maximizes all the sensations. It becomes real. So for you, it's like you are tuning into a certain place more and more and more, and that becomes real. Other people are able to like, whatever, that it's meaningless. They decided that it doesn't matter. So they're not even be able to shift because like, oh, it's just a dream. Who cares? If you're looking at it like that, of course you're not going to remember and like look at stuff. But if you choose to have this like ability to move, ability to connect to a different like vibration, to a different reality and experience like from that point of view, everything's going to be real. So yeah, when we're looking at forced incarnation, it's all going to be like, how real do you make it for yourself? And while some people might like throw imagery at you or tell you stories, eventually at some point you were the only one that followed the perception and had a certain belief about it that might have been limiting, and this is how you got here. And for some people, like, it's a decision, yeah, I'm gonna go there and like share love or wake people up or fight a good fight and do this thing. and other people feeling trapped because they never wanted to come here. They're feeling like black sheep of the family. They're feeling like the whole world is against them. But at the same time, from the perception before coming here, they felt limited. Like, oh, I'm trapped. I can't do anything. Kind of like some kind of helplessness, some kind of entrapment, some kind of thing like where they cannot do stuff. And when you're in the panic mode in life, when you're stressed, your brain starts acting out weird. And you forget the basic thing. You forget the phone number. You forget where you like where your keys are. You might be carrying in your hand, like carrying something in your hand, but you will not see it because you're stressed and anxious. For a lot of people, it happens. They're going to pick something to the fridge or going to another room to get an item, and they like midway they forget something because they were too anxious, too stressed, or thinking about something too much. So you're like manifesting reality that you're focusing on. And so when you have a perception that creates some kind of limitation and shows your focus elsewhere, your vibration shifts, your frequency shifts, and then following by perception and you being the creator, you being the manifester, based on the perception you have, based on the beliefs you have, you will create a reality around you that might not work so well. And then when you fit a certain standard of like, let's say, okay, bunch of people co-creating Earth is this and has a certain frequency and has like a certain like rules and fragments in physics. Once your mindset, once your frequency, once your vibration fits that, it's easier to get you here. But again, the reality and perception has to be simulated to the point where you will agree to it. Imagine like having a knob, a radio, and you're turning the knob to change your frequency. When the perception is shifted and limited, you will tune into a certain frequency that will allow you to connect to a certain radio. When the perception is like, okay, you're limited, you're feeling like you cannot move, you cannot do anything, eventually you will hit a certain standard for a certain radio that will allow you to connect to Earth, and that is going to make you like more plausible to come here. So trapped or not, there's like a lot of ways to do it, and it goes deep. It goes very deep. Anyway, let's listen to what Swarru has to say.
It will all boil down to their belief systems, and to what they strongly believe is true, therefore, what they will manifest for themselves. When a soul passes on, it takes all its ideas and values, thoughts, fears, and all that defines its ego, its persona and self. When the physical body, biological meat suit dies, all that the person has left is who they are, and the ideas that shape it. Thoughts and ideas are things, and this means that they will manifest for themselves whatever they believe, including devils with tridents or pitchforks, pricking them from behind to force them back into the samsara reincarnation wheel of earth. Or their favorite spiritual masters having a nice talk with them, coercing and convincing them of having to reincarnate, to learn more, or to pay for past wrongdoings, in a more karmic interpretation of these things. Remember that when a person dies, its soul will only go to wherever it is a vibrational match with, because in reality, it is going nowhere, as there is nowhere to go, as places and locations are only illusions. A soul is only said to go to wherever it is a vibrational match, but in reality, that is only so because it can only experience itself and its illusory external reality, which is the product of its own ideas. And ideas are vibrations, and vibrations are things, as simple as that. So answering the question if there is forced reincarnation or not, you know the answer now. It all depends on the ideas you are holding, especially at the time of your death. But in the end, you are the one who is in control. You have the power to do whatever you want with your soul and what it will experience. This is why it is so important to watch your thoughts and ideas, which are vibrations, as I said, and vibrations manifest into things, circumstances, and events. Having answered that question as best as I could, there is still another angle to all this. And it is the perception manipulation people are under, especially while they are alive. The powers that be, the controllers, impose a set of values, ideas, meanings, and so on that cause incarnated souls to hold similar ideas, therefore vibrations, and those are the ones that create the belief systems that cause them to reincarnate. And this happens on Earth and off-planet as well, as there is more matrix in space, and among the stars, although it is more prevalent and obvious on Earth and its existential realm. The controllers, whoever they are, because as you know, there are many levels to them, and of them. They know that if they control the ideas, values, and perceptions of the people, they can control what they manifest as a collective reality. This is done by imposing ideas and values, as much as it is also done by isolating the people from other ideas and values which contradict, or work against the ones they need people to think and take as reality. This is why they systematically discredit, attack, slander, and accuse authors who contradict their interests, also accusing them of disseminating false information in the name of truth, a truth that was been monopolized by them. They have managed to control the perception of the masses into only accepting their definition of what is correct and what is not, therefore also using countless people as useful idiots who do nothing other than mindlessly repeating what they are told, while they think that they know the facts of truth, simply because those are the norm, and therefore are socially acceptable. Most people who only repeat what they are told, and who are bluntly incapable of having an original thought, confuse the socially acceptable with truth. So, from this other point of view, yes, there would be forced reincarnation, because the controllers of Earth and its material realm would be
like try the whole video, and you watched plenty of Swarru stuff, you might have watched my videos. The most important thing for us is to learn as much as possible. While we are here, we need to learn as much as possible. Whatever you listen to, whatever you're reading, whatever you're studying, it is very important for you to look at information that will empower you, number one. Filter out whatever doesn't work. If you're listening to me and like you're calling out, well, that's some crap, that's some bullshit, I don't agree with that, good for you. Question, question, question everything. Look around, decipher stuff, look what fits your reality, look what fits your belief system, and build out like your pillar of understanding that will empower you. Karma, demons, and bunch of other things, again, it's all plenty of stories, and it's all real for those that will tune in into a certain vibration, frequency, and reality. It's all about perception. But you can choose to focus on things that will empower you. As much as you read, as much as you study, you will not reincarnate. You will not encounter angels. You will not encounter spiritual teachers and gurus and whoever the hell who want to lie to you and to deceive you so that you would reincarnate here. You will not encounter soul traps. You will not have the grid around Earth. You will not have a bunch of other things if you develop a belief system strong enough that you know you are a limitless being, you are a powerful creator, you're a manifester, anything you focus on, you can tune into it and you can be free of all the crap that you've heard about. It's all true. It exists to those that tune in into a certain story, into a certain vibration, into a certain frequency. You don't have to be there, which is why you develop a belief system, you read, you decipher, you filter out, and you build on things that will empower you. You work from there. And with all the stories that are out there, cherry pick. Everything I'm saying, well, again, use your inner lie detector. Anything Swarru saying, all of these stories, don't count on someone else saving you. Don't count on the grand event happening when something will come and do whatever. Bunch of stories out there. The Great Awakening. Oh, going to the 5D. Oh, like this event is gonna happen. There are so many stories where people will stay in place of waiting, not doing anything, and just hoping to be saved, hoping that they're gonna be extracted, hoping that something else is gonna happen because they might be feeling like victims, or they might get so tired of this world and crap that's happening that they just give up. When you give up, it's not good. You might not like this place, but you have to know who you are. For a lot of people who encounter entities, who encounter other ETs out there, when you know your superpower, your perception, your imagination, whatever you think of, whatever you focus on, you can create. You're a powerful being. You're manifesting anything. You can create anything. If you choose and focus on that and know that no one can stop me, the grid doesn't matter. Things that Wes Penry talked about, David Wilcock, and anyone else, things that might limit me, soul traps, and all of the stories I've heard, doesn't matter. Because I am the being that can create a realm for myself, get out of duality, get out of matrix, get out of the whole system, and tune into my own personal belief, reality, belief bubble, live there, do stuff, and from that point of view, whenever you're ready, choose a different story, choose a different aspect, choose, connect to a different reality, a different experience, and you can go from there. But for those that are like, I've heard the story that I'm powerful, but you haven't gone deep enough and you're not trusting yourself, there will be dangers. Which is why, like Swarru talks about, there are beings that can impact us, create like false memories, false understanding, false past lives, because there will be experiences that we'll like connect to. You have to have enough understanding and enough awareness to decipher what is you, what are your thoughts, what is it that you focus on, and what's actually coming in from other groups, entities, other aspects, alters, stuff like that. There are tons of things out there. And most people are like focusing so much on this world that they forget that beings out there have technology that is like freaking awesome. Think of like, look at AI, like you've heard like, well, this AI is the most amazing one. What if it gets out of hand? What if? Then imagine there are groups who have it way more advanced. Like, okay, Swarru and Taygetans and all the Irmas are dealing with reptilians and Dracos and like Black Queen AI and all the others. They have the tech. They can create a perception of reality, and you have to have enough understanding and awareness to decipher. This is fake. This spot is not mine. This feeling is not mine. No. It's been implanted, impacted on me, but I am not the creator of this. This is false. This is not me. This is a lie. You have to decipher that, because no one else will be able to throw a lie story to you. As good as it seems, you even like watch like bunch of YouTube videos, or you listen to podcasts, you read books. You have to train that muscle of having that inner lie detector, of having that awareness to know what is you and what's not. Because when you know the difference, no matter what anyone else tells you, no matter who you listen to, you'll be able to cherry pick through a bunch of lies, through a bunch of stories, through a bunch of limiting beliefs, and to know, like, I like this, that fits my understanding, I'll take it, I'll make my creation even more empowered and powerful. That being said, Swarru has more to say, but I'll stop here. You can watch the full video on her channel. And yeah, feel free to share your comments, what you think about forced incarnation, what you think about reality, perception, how you come here, what's your reason, and all this stuff. And I'll see you next time.